a family dinner, and a truth that destroyed everything. And if you're here for the continuation of the dinner, like the video and turn on the notification bell for what's coming next. My mother walked slowly toward the table, her heels clicking against the wooden floor with every deliberate step. She didn't take off her coat. She didn't sit down. She just stood there at the head of the table, staring at each person individually, her gaze lingering on my aunt for an uncomfortably long moment. "You know something," she began, her voice strangely calm. I heard everything from outside. The door was half open. The confessions, the tears, the release. She let out a bitter laugh. "How touching. How brave of all of you to finally tell the truth." My aunt stood up. "This is not the time for—" "Not the time?" My mother's voice rose sharply. "When is it the time, then? When is it time in this family to tell the truth? You all just sat here, pouring out your grievances, talking about honesty and breaking cycles." She looked straight at me. "But no one told him, did they?" My stomach twisted. The way she said him, with so much emphasis, so much weight, made my blood run cold. "Mom, what are you talking about?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She laughed again, but there were tears in her eyes now. "Of course you don't know. Of course they never told you, because that's what this family does best. We keep secrets. We bury them so deep we almost forget they exist. Almost." My grandmother's voice cut through the tension. "Don't do this." "Don't do what, Mom?" My mother turned to face her. "Don't tell my son the truth? The truth that everyone in this room knows except him? The truth you all decided 32 years ago that he should never know?" The room began to spin. 32 years? That was my age. "Someone tell me what's going on," I demanded, standing up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the floor. "Right now." My aunt reached out to me. "Sweetheart, please sit." "Don't touch me." I stepped back. What is she talking about? What don't I know? The silence was deafening. Everyone was looking at everyone else, silently begging someone to speak, to take responsibility, to be the one who would detonate the bomb about to explode in the middle of that dining room. It was my uncle who finally broke. "You're adopted." 2 words, just 2 words, but they might as well have been a gunshot. I felt my legs weaken. "What?" "You're adopted," my mother repeated, her voice breaking. "You're not my biological son. You never were." The room exploded. My cousin let out a muffled scream. My other cousin swore under his breath. My aunt started crying immediately. But I couldn't focus on any of them. I could only stare at my mother, the woman who raised me, who was there for every birthday, every scraped knee, every achievement, and suddenly she felt like a complete stranger. "You're lying," I said, even though I knew she wasn't. "I wish I were," she whispered. "God, how I wish I were lying." My grandmother stood up, her voice sharp. That's not how what, Mom? That's not how we do things? That's not how we handle family matters?" My mother's voice was rising to a shout now. "So I was supposed to keep lying? Keep pretending? Isn't that what we just agreed was toxic? Isn't that what you all just agreed was destroying this family?" "This is different," my aunt shouted back. "This is his entire identity. This is the truth." My mother slammed her hand on the table, making the plates rattle. "You all wanted honesty? Then here it is. Here's the ugly, messy, complicated truth you all decided to hide from him." I sank back into my chair, my mind racing. Memories began flooding in, now through a different lens. The way my aunt always looked at me with such intensity. The way my grandmother sometimes called me by another name and then quickly corrected herself. The photos in my baby album that always felt a little off. The timeline didn't quite match. The hospital bracelet was never in the pictures. "Who?" I managed to ask. Who are my biological parents? The question hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. My mother closed her eyes. My aunt's crying intensified. My uncle filled another glass of wine and downed it in one go. Your aunt, my mother finally said, pointing to her sister, your aunt is your biological mother. If the room had exploded before, it was nothing compared to now. My cousin jumped out of his chair. What? You mean he's your brother, my mother finished, or half-brother, technically, different fathers. I looked at my cousin, my brother, and saw the same shock reflected on his face. We grew up as cousins. We shared holidays, inside jokes, childhood rivalries, and now, in a single moment, our entire relationship had been rewritten. How? I whispered, looking at my aunt. My mother? How did this happen? She was sobbing now, her whole body shaking. My uncle put a hand on her shoulder, but she shrugged him off violently. No, she hissed at him. Don't you dare touch me right now. She took a deep, trembling breath and looked at me. I was 17, just 17. I got pregnant by a boy who left town the moment he found out. Our parents, she gestured toward my grandmother, were horrified. The shame, the scandal. What would people think? There it was again. What would people think? So we made a plan, my mother continued, her voice hollow. I had just gotten married. I couldn't have children. We'd tried for 2 years without success, so we decided your aunt would have you and I would raise you as mine. She would leave during the pregnancy, come back, and we'd all pretend it never happened. But I couldn't, my aunt sobbed. I thought I could. I thought I could just give you up and move on with my life. But every time I saw you, every birthday, every Christmas, I died a little inside. Because you were my son, and I couldn't tell you. I couldn't hold you the way I wanted. I couldn't— Stop, I said, standing up again. My entire body was shaking. Stop, all of you. I looked around the table, at the woman who raised me but wasn't my mother, at the woman who was my mother but whom I'd called aunt my whole life, at the man who was my uncle but maybe knew all along, at my cousin, my brother, who looked just as betrayed as I felt, at my other cousin, dealing with her own pregnancy secret, at my grandmother, the keeper of all these buried truths. You all sat here tonight, I said, my voice trembling with anger, talking about honesty, about breaking cycles, about how toxic it is to wear masks and pretend. And yet, for 32 years, every single person in this room has lied to me about the most fundamental thing about my existence. We did it to protect you, my grandmother said calmly. Protect me, I exploded. Protect me from what? The truth? From knowing who I really am? Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you have any idea what this feels like? We were going to tell you, my aunt whispered. We talked about it so many times, but there was never a right moment, and then the years passed, and it became this thing we couldn't undo. Couldn't undo? I laughed bitterly. You couldn't undo it, so you just decided to never do it? You decided to let me live my entire life as a lie? My mother, who I guess I should call my aunt now, spoke. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I know this doesn't fix anything, but you're right. It doesn't fix anything. Nothing can fix this. My cousin, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke. Maybe that's the point. Everyone looked at her. Maybe that's the point, she repeated, standing up. Maybe some things can't be fixed. Maybe that's what we're all learning tonight. We keep secrets thinking we're protecting each other, but really we're just protecting ourselves from judgment, from discomfort, from facing the consequences of our choices. She looked at me. What happened to you is horrible. It's a betrayal of the worst kind. But at least now you know. At least now you get to decide what to do with the truth instead of living a lie. That's easy for you to say, My cousin, my brother, said angrily. You're the one who just found out your entire family has been lying to you. No, she shot back. I'm the one who's pregnant with a married man's baby and too terrified to tell anyone because I was afraid of being judged by a family full of liars and hypocrites. Excuse me? My uncle stood up. Who are you calling hypocrites? All of us, she shouted. We are all hypocrites. We sit here pretending to be this respectable family. But look at us. Look at what we've done to each other. Affairs, lies, secrets, manipulation. And for what? So we can keep pretending we're something we're not? The argument escalated. Everyone was shouting now. My uncle defended the decision to hide my adoption. My aunt screamed that she had wanted to tell me but was stopped. My mother cried and yelled at the same time about how she raised me, and that made her my real mother. My grandmother tried to restore order, but her voice was lost in the chaos. My cousin, still couldn't think of him as my brother, demanded to know what other secrets the family was hiding. And me, I just stood there, watching my entire world collapse. Because here's what I realized in that moment. The masks didn't just fall that night. They were ripped off, torn apart, destroyed. And what was underneath wasn't beautiful or freeing. It was ugly. It was messy. It was painful. It was real. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what we needed. But God did it hurt. And it didn't stop there. It was only the beginning of all the revelations. But that's a story for another video. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and stay tuned for shocking revelations.